Welcome to the Creatives Rule the World podcast. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews here. I am so excited to be here today, and we are going to have a really fun conversation. I just had one of those moments where I just had a huge download, and I'm so excited to talk to you and have this conversation with you today about creativity. I mean, this podcast is called Creatives Rule the World, and I am here to help inspire you to be in your creator energy all of the time. Now, I want to give you a little bit of backstory. If you're new to listening to this podcast, my name is Tracy Matthews. I am a 4-time founder. I built multiple multi-7-figure businesses, being creative, basically with my creative genius. I started out in the jewelry space. Most people know me for my jewelry mentoring company, Flourish and Thrive Academy, and for my original jewelry brand, Tracy Matthews Designs, back in the 90s and early 2000s. And these days, I am here to inspire people to live creative lives that pay them extremely and exceptionally well. And a couple of years back, many of you have heard this story before, if you've been listening to this podcast before, I was at a Brendon Burchard event and I was sitting there and he asked us to just close our eyes and think about like the first thing that came to the mind. Like if we had a really big, hairy goal, what would that really big, hairy goal be? And I wrote, I wanted to do a TED Talk that had 20 million views. And then, as I was following that thread, I was like, I want it to be about creativity. I didn't really know what that meant at that time, but I wrote down the words, creatives run the world. And then I changed it later because I'm like, do they run the world or is it that they rule the world? Because creativity rules the world, right? And so fast forward, this episode is going to go live soon, but I was interviewing my friend, Sue Bryce, and we were talking about creativity because she built a massive empire in the photography space and had built a huge brand on Creative Live and all these things. And she's like, really, it's that creators rule the world. And so I'm not changing the name of the podcast, but we're going to talk about creator energy and what that really looks like, because it doesn't matter who you are. If you are operating out of your true creator energy, not creativity, your creator energy, your life force energy, the thing that brings things to life from your second chakra, right? Then you will always be manifesting what you want. And if you aren't operating out of that energy, you're in this state of being in competition. And what competition brings is lack, victim mindset, feeling like there's not enough, feeling not good enough about yourself, not being in a space where you are really empowering yourself to move forward, letting yourself get caught up in all these things that are really deeply tied to fear. But it's whether you're competing with yourself or someone else. So we are going to dive into this conversation today because really, if we're thinking about the two highest vibration of a high vibration and a low vibration energy, they are love and fear, some of the highest or the different contrast of vibrations, I should say. Creator energy aligns with love. Competition energy aligns with fear. And for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that when I originally started my coaching and mentoring company, Flourish and Thrive Academy, the entire messaging around that business was all about creativity or community over competition, right? With creativity leading. Creativity over competition. I'm going to create a new hashtag. There we go. So if you're someone who is high achieving and you want to really build a successful business and you're ready to make a shift, to reinvent yourself, to evolve your business and your brand and really step into what you're meant to be, well, welcome to the show because you are going to love this episode. If you're someone who's been in business for a while and you have a creative business and you've been struggling to really get it going, you are going to love this episode because we're going to tap into the creator energy that lives inside of all of us. In fact, I host mastermind retreats called Creative Force of Nature. I truly believe that creativity is the source of all of our happiness in an indirect way, because there is no way that when you are creative that you can be unhappy because you are tapped in and in alignment with the things that matter to you, with what you're gifted at. Now, I don't want this to be confused with being an artist or a designer or something like that, because every single person in the world is creative. There's no way that you're not. We all have a left and a right side of brain, unless you have some sort of brain injury or something like that. And that creativity energy, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're someone in finance, whether you're someone who's an artist, we all have it. It's just our expression of creativity that is the thing that sets us apart. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about what happens when you're not operating out of your creator energy and why this creates misalignment in your life and your business and career. And if you would like support getting tapped in and tuned into that energy again, then I'm going to extend an invitation for you to join me for my Art of Reinvention program, which I will be launching this September or re-releasing this September, to get you back into alignment with everything that you're creative and really understanding like what are my true creative gifts and how can I bring those things to the world. So whether you're an artist, whether you're someone who has a career and you're wanting to start a business, whether you're someone who has a business and you're feeling out of alignment, whether you're someone who has hit a rock bottom or you're burnt out and you just need a dose of inspiration, this program will game change your life and we're going to have a lot of fun. So let's talk a little bit more about this. I want to really paint the picture of what it looks like for you to be out of alignment with your creativity. So if you're someone who has been, working till 7, you barely have time for your family, you're working late, you feel resentful towards your team, your work is draining, you're feeling like you're sleepwalking through someone else's version of your life, and the success that you've actually created so far just doesn't even light you up. It's not exciting for you. Here's the thing that most people miss. When you are working and you're in your full creator energy, you will make money. And sure, people can make money who are not tuned into their work. But if you are resonating with this message, the more that you can tap in to your creator energy, the creativity, that life force inside of you that gets you excited because you're in alignment with the work that you're doing, then it is only natural that the money will follow. It is only natural that the money will follow. When you're out of alignment with that and you're working in competition energy, you're operating out of fear, you're doing things out of obligation, things out of lack, or because you're supposed to, you're resenting the work that you do, you're hiding behind it, you're thinking you're not good enough. All of that is going to put you in this competition energy and it's going to keep you hiding. And eventually, even if you are successful, will probably start to attribute to the burn down of your business. And I'm going to share a little bit more about what I mean by that, because this is really important. If you've ever been in a spot where you feel a sense of guilt or you feel empty with the work that you're doing, even though everything on paper looks good, or you're hiding behind something, then it's time to take a look at this. Because if we can bring it back to this creator energy, competition energy keeps you in a cycle of comparison. It keeps you in a cycle of proving, of always hustling. And this is really what people are talking about when they talk about hustle culture. Because when you're in flow, there is no competition. When you're in alignment, there is no competition. There is only upside. So I want to share just a few stories of some people that I've worked with recently who reconnected with their creative life force, and it shifted everything. The first story that I want to share with you is the story of Dana. She is going to be on the podcast next week. Dana has been a longtime friend of mine, and she was in a place where she hit a true rock bottom. And I say this because she has impacted millions of people. She has built a internationally recognized sleep brand. And in that internationally recognized sleep brand, she built a business with 45 consultants around the world and was literally one of the OGs in the child sleep space. And she's done a lot of things in her business, but the market's changed. She's changed. How she's showing up has changed. Her life has changed. And through all of those changes, and even the changes in her body as she's gotten older, she forgot to recalibrate with her enjoyment and her creative fire with what she was actually doing in her business. And so what she was doing was continuing to do the same thing and wondering why she hated showing up for work so much, wondering why she was so burnt out, wondering why she was so depressed. Well, it wasn't until we worked together and I helped her get back into alignment with her creative gifts and the things that she's naturally gifted at and truly enjoys, did anything change. And it was almost immediate. Dana started seeing her reaching her sales goals. Her business started picking up again, and she started feeling that excitement and energy and life force and enjoyment for her business again. And so instead of feeling like at this rock bottom place of like, how can I keep this going? She got back to the things that she actually loved. And when she got back into her creation energy, she fell back in love with her business. Now, one of the things that I see often is business owners, we start a business, we want to sell it. We get to this place where we're just kind of, okay, it's time to sell. We're kind of done with this business, time to move on. Enter my friend Stacey. Stacey, also one of my clients and students. Stacey built a very successful marketing agency. And she got to a point where she just was like, this isn't for me anymore. I've built a very profitable business. I'm ready to exit. And she was getting into this space of this competition energy. And she was about to just shut the whole thing down until her team came to her. They're like, let us take over. We're going to make this work and get it to a place where we can keep it running without you. We really love this work. And so Stacey went behind the scenes and started doing some things like for her own personal enjoyment. And through that process, realized that she really did want to sell the company. So she eventually had 100 buyers for the company, ended up selling the business. It was incredible. So when she came to me, she was in the stage of like, okay, what do I do next? Because when you are a creator, you can't just stop, right? You have to continue creating in order to feel tapped in and turned on and lit up by the work that you're doing. And so she had all these ideas, could not sort through them. And the challenge she was having was that even though she had some really great ideas of different ways that she could move forward in this energy, she realized that she was just reverting back to her old ways, like the old ways that she would do something. And she already knew that that wasn't working for her. So by working together and working with me, we helped her restructure and create a much bigger vision and much bigger growth than she ever would have done or expected on her own. And so one of the things that happens when you get tapped in to true creation energy and you start to really evolve and reinvent your business and your brand, you can see such a bigger picture for yourself than you ever thought was possible before. And then there's Shirley. She is a jewelry business owner. She had a custom jewelry business that she'd been doing for over 20 years. When she came to me, she was just exhausted. She was not excited about her business anymore. She was attracting clients that were not an ideal fit. She was feeling, quite frankly, just really burnt out. And she was at a crossroads, like literally having an identity crisis with, well, what am I going to do if I'm not a jewelry designer? I'm not doing this custom bespoke work that I've built my career on. Like, who am I without this? Well, when we got to it, we realized that her true passion was helping people on this spiritual journey to create talismans that represented that spiritual journey for them. And the thing that she didn't recognize is that she was taking on work and projects and clients that were literally sucking the creativity out of her instead of working on projects and attracting clients that were feeding that creative life force. And once she saw the shift, everything shifted in her business because she started getting the work that was not lighting herself up anymore off her plate. And that made space and room for the next thing. And so much has happened. She's been getting orders from these amazing lodges in South Africa. She lives in South Africa. She's been working with some ideal clients for this talisman work that she's doing. And everything shifted extremely quickly. And so if you're in a spot where you're feeling this stuck energy, like you've lost that creative life force that really made you who you are, I want to remind you of something. You are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. What's wrong is that you're not in that creation mode. And in order to get back to that creation mode, you have to identify what are the things that are actually blocking you. And that requires an element of radical honesty where you have to be willing, and sometimes it can be confronting, Shirley did say this, to take a look at the areas of yourself and be honest with yourself of where you're blocking yourself from being in your full creative flow. And until you do that, it will be really hard to shift anything. And you're going to be stuck in this sort of like low vibration, competition, hustle mode, trying to push things up a hill instead of letting things flow. Because when you're in that state of flow, you can only be in your highest vibration of creation. And this is where most people miss the entire plot with manifestation. People are manifesting from their mind, not their womb. Womb is the source of creation, right? It's in the doing that we create our reality, right? So we can have a vision of having a very big business, or we can have a vision of impacting millions of people. We can have a vision of having a product line that is sold everywhere. But until we get right with ourselves and understand that we are true creators and get into that creation energy that allows us to be forward moving and strategic, it'll be hard to move forward. So the one thing that I want to remind you is that if you're having money issues, if you're dreading your work, if you're struggling to put yourself out there, if you're building other people's dreams instead of your own, you're feeling resentful, you're having a hard time managing your team, you're having a hard time lighting people up, you're not in this space of creation. And the more that you are not identifying and the more that you are pretending to be excited when you're actually really miserable, well, you're going to keep getting hit up on the head harder and harder by the universe. Carly, my coach that I just talked to, she talks about it as the nudge, the knock, and the rhino. And first, the universe is going to give you a nudge like, hey, maybe you should take a look. Then a knock. Hey, look over here. Then the rhino comes and does something very drastic, so you'll pay attention. We don't ever want to get to that rhino phase. We want to take a look before that's happening so that we're really stepping into our full elevation of what's next. And so what I want to remind you that if you're in a state of feeling restless, if you're in a state of knowing that there's something more for you, if you're in a state of feeling stuck because you see the potential of what you could do with your business, but you're not doing it, please take a look at that. There is no shame in wanting to change. There is no shame in you stepping into something new. There is no shame in you evolving your brand. There's no shame in evolving who you are. What this is your creative evolution. And we are creative beings. Women are creative beings. We literally can create life, right? And if there's men listening to this podcast, also you are creative beings. This isn't just for women, but I'm saying that creativity, that energy is on purpose, and it's designed to help you step into your fullest, wealthiest, positive vibe that is going to catapult you and move you towards more joy, towards more alignment, towards more magnetism, towards more wealth, towards all of the things that you desire. Because here's what most people forget. When they're in a state of stress, they either get to a place where they start burning down what they created, or they start piling more on their plate. But there is a third path. The third path is moving into that creation energy. So I want you to imagine, like, what does it feel like when you are fully creative? Like, if you were to go back to the moment when you launched your first thing, or when you first had a creative, or one time, it doesn't have to be the first time. Like, if I think back to starting my jewelry company way back in the day, in the 90s, in the early 90s, I should say, and thinking, I'm a jewelry student, I'm working in boutiques, I'm seeing all these independent brands being sold. People are buying things like without even thinking about it for $600. Like Cameron Diaz came into this boutique that I was working at. She was a model at the time. She wasn't famous, but I recognized her because I saw her in a Bloomingdale's catalog a couple of weeks before. She comes in, spent $1,200, and this was in the 90s. That was a lot of money. That was like $5,000 back then. So spends all this money, and she's picked up a $600 necklace. No big deal, 19-year-old. And you think about that, and it's just kind of like, wow, how exciting would it be to have someone pick up a piece of jewelry that I made, like Cameron Diaz, and not even think twice about it, right? And so I want you to think back to that time. So I really got into the energy, like that excitement. Like, what if people, like celebrities, wore my jewelry? Because when I started my company, I was living in LA. Eventually I was in San Francisco, then also in New York. So I was in cities where there was a lot of influential people and celebrities and stuff like that. And I always thought, like, how cool would it be if a celebrity wore my pieces? Well, that excitement is the thing that actually got me into 350 stores around the world. It got me excited about creating different variations on the jewelry that I made. It got me excited about working with stylists who could get my products placed on famous people. It got me excited about putting myself out there and pitching magazines, even when sometimes you were just like operating into a void, right? Didn't hear back from most of them. And then eventually you get an InStyle or a Lucky. Back then, those were the magazines, right? Get on the Today Show, all of these things, because you're so lit up and excited. It's easy when you're operating out of creation energy. It gets hard when you're living in self-doubt, in fear, in obligation, in competition, in hustle. Do you see the difference? Because I want you to get back to that feeling of waking up excited about what you're doing every day, sharing your work and being excited to be like, oh my, this is something that I made or I created. This is how I transform people. Saying no because things are not aligned with the person you are now. It's okay to say no. That no opens up a door for a heck yes. Living in alignment where the external matches what's going on inside, and feeling so excited about the work you do that people cannot ignore you because you are so lit up and on fire. So one of the things that I feel like I am so qualified to do here, and as I've been on my reinvention and evolution journey, really finding that fire and tapping back into my creative life force, one of the things that I've been really thinking through is like, who am I here to impact? And what is the creation that I'm supposed to birth next? And how is that going to transform people's lives? Well, I've been through many reinventions in my career. And those reinventions at every single time went through a period of darkness where I didn't know what was happening next. Many of you have heard about my bankruptcy. You've heard me basically live journaling on this podcast about the conscious descaling of my company, Flourish and Thrive Academy. You've heard me talking about the rebuild of Flourish and Thrive Academy because we're in that state right now. And we're so excited because we're going to be launching something new for jewelry business owners in September. And it is so perfect. It's exactly what we need to do. And we needed that process of pulling back and really taking the time to become a beginner again, to think through like, what is it that people need from us, and pull the best things from all of our programs together to come back with that creative life force and energy that we started the company with, right? To get excited about it. So more on that. If you're a jewelry designer and you're wanting to hear more about that, feel free to reach out to us. We will be talking a little bit more about that soon though. But in this creative process that I've been in, I've realized there have been so many people out there who want to work directly with me. And the only way to work directly with me through these seasons of really getting into creative, tapping into your creative energy, is through my program right now, The Art of Reinvention. And to join me for my mastermind retreats, which I'm having another one in October. So if you're in a place of wanting to get back into alignment and really want to dig into the, not just like high level theory, but the actual actions that it takes to move forward and evolve who you are, then let's chat. Because here's the thing. I am not someone who just operates out of theory. Everything I teach is lived experience. And so I know how to navigate it. And the thing that's so interesting about me too, unlike most people, I've had all different types of businesses. I have product-based businesses. I've had a coaching brand. I'm building a media empire right now. And so when you have done so many things, you have such a unique perspective of how to actually build something in a way that's sustainable. And so the one thing that has really gotten me through every single time I've been at a rock bottom or really tough spot is that creation energy. Because when you're playing in your full creative life force, when you have that tapped in, awakened energy, nothing can stop you. It is just so exciting. So let's talk about some practical steps that you can take to get back into your creation energy today. First, I want you to create before you consume. So this might be journaling in the morning, coming up with some content ideas. Do whatever you can before you open up your phone and start scrolling through Instagram. That creation, maybe it's making something with your hands, whatever it is, that creation energy is going to put you in the right frame of mind for the day. Now, for me, I don't have young kids or anything at home. We do have 2 teenage girls that are with us 50% of the time and a dog that is very distracting in the morning. But I have a ritual that I go through every single morning. I do a meditation in bed that reprograms my brain, because every single person at any level needs subconscious reprogramming to step into their highest vibration. then I've been doing some breath work or meditation and journaling for at least like 30 minutes in the morning in between me getting my dog up and taking her for a walk, etc. So that's enough creation to get you in the right headspace that will keep you moving forward. Now, I want you to notice the next step to this is to notice when you're comparing yourself to other people, because that competition energy, mind you, that's the low vibration. We don't want to be competing. Competing is good for certain things. Like if you're an athlete, yes, you're going to compete. But if you're in creation mode, you don't need to compete because your creation is yours only, right? Now, one of the things I want to talk about, I took a deep breath here and a sigh, because Sue and I were talking about this story. We used to get people saying like, oh, people knock me off and they copy my jewelry designs. And we look at, Robin and I, in the early days of Flourish and Thrive, we would look at these people's jewelry who thought that they got knocked off. And I was like, if you got knocked off, you basically knocked off my line from 10 years ago. Or Robin would be like, that's exactly what so-and-so did like 5 years ago. And the whole point being here is that a circle is a circle is a circle. And it's your interpretation of that circle or that thing that makes the creation yours. And so I see a lot of people getting caught up in this comparison trap or wanting to make a big huff about, things looking alike. There aren't any really original ideas out in the world right now. It's your interpretation of those ideas. And it's how you show up and synthesize things to make it your own. Another thing that I would really recommend that you do every day is move your body, especially in the morning, even if it's just some stretching. I like to work out in the morning, but that movement of your body helps get you in your body. And if you're in your mind too much, guess what? You start to get in that competition phase instead of being in your body, which is in that creation mode. And then spend time every single day connecting to your vision, to the things that you value, and start aligning the work that you do with that vision and your values. I know Heather, I just had her on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. She talked about one of the most impactful things in my program, The Art of Reinvention, was the values vision alignment exercise that I had them do. And she's like, this literally like blew my mind. And I realized that I had so many clients that I was working with that were so out of alignment. And it's interesting how the universe starts to work. It's like, she's like, this isn't who I want to serve anymore. And the universe starts adjusting that for when you are out of alignment. So when you really identify like, okay, this is where I'm going and this is how I'm creating this future, the things that aren't for you will naturally just fall away. And that you should be okay with that, because it's not that you're losing something. It just means that you're making space for the things that are for you. And the more that you can create, the more you're in creator mode, the more in flow you're going to be. So these little micro shifts that you can take every single day, they're super easy. They take anywhere from, 5 minutes to like visualize to 30 minutes to journal, whatever it might be, are just simple shifts that can step you into your creation mode. So I would love to invite you to reflect a little bit on this idea. Where in your life are you in competition energy right now? Just think about it, write it down, maybe journal on it. And what would open up for you if you started shifting into creation mode? Now, if you're hearing this and this is resonating with you, I would love to invite you to book a reinvention activation breakthrough call with me, especially if you're someone who wants to get back into alignment with the work that you're doing and you're ready to take action now. So this is perfect for people who are in a state of wanting to invest in themselves emotionally, creatively, and financially to make change happen quickly. Now, on that call, what we're going to do is we're going to dig deep into your situation. We're going to take a look at what's going on for you and your business. And then I'm going to help you paint a clear vision for where you're going. And then I'm going to give you action steps to how to move forward towards that vision. And if it seems like a good fit, I'll share with you a little bit more about how I can support you in one of my programs. So I would love to talk to you. If you're interested in learning more about that, we're going to have links in the show notes. If you're driving, be safe. Or you can just shoot me a DM on Instagram and comment the word ignite. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm at I am Tracy Matthews. And over there, just say that you want to chat about getting on a reinvention activation breakthrough session. I'll send you a link to fill out a little application and we'll go from there. So thanks so much for being here today. And I also want to thank my dear friend, Sue Bryce. She is such a gift to me. If you're interested in learning from Sue and me in person, I'm hosting a retreat You can also DM me about that. It's October 6th through 8th here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're going to be creating content. We're going to be masterminding and helping you create incredible visibility for you and your brand. I am so pumped about this, and I want you to get excited because it's going to be game changing. All right, this is Tracy signing off. Until next time. Ciao for now. Everything I just talked about is in the show notes.